Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes. Go ahead, please pivot into comparative raters for small commercial, man. I want to get your take on that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was a huge early adopter of Tarmica and love Rags, love the team there, amazing people. And they did a very good job at that tool. So this is not a knock on comparative raters. However, from decades worth of experience, certainly very hardcore experience when I was running my agency, they just don't add any real process improvement. We like,
is it because of the reliability of the quote? It's not there?
Yeah. And I don't need 17 quotes, right? Like what I want is, again, so what we did was we started to really press our carrier partners for what they wanted, how they wanted it delivered, like what were their home runs? How do we know if we come to you with this type of account, you're going to be bang on every time? Like, let us know what those are. Then we can sculpt our lead flow to say, okay, when a bakery comes in, Hartford. When a consultant comes in, Travelers. When a tech company comes in, Chubb, right? What we started doing was we weren't comparative rating at all. We were, based on what the business was, we were going straight to the carrier that we as a team had determined was the number one option for that. So we basically had a 3-carrier list for almost every class code that came in, or some of them were a little, not necessarily all the way down to maybe 4 digits on a NACE, maybe 2 digits on, or 3 digits on a NACE. But we had a 3-carrier list for almost every class code. And basically when that lead would come in, we had a very basic internal chatbot, which just read documents we uploaded to it. Very, very basic. But basically our team would just put in bakery and it would come up and say, boop, here's the 3-carrier list. And they would just go right to number 1. And if that quote looked good, out it went. Because, we had a bar for the quality of the paper, and we had a bar for claims handling and that stuff. So I knew, I go to X carrier, they're number 1 on this list. So my producers knew if they went to X carrier and that carrier had what we felt was a reasonable price, I didn't care if Y carrier was $100 less or whatever. That didn't matter. We never sold on price. Like, it was about turnaround time, meeting expectations for the customers, getting their problem solved. Like, when someone reaches out to an agent, they have a problem. They have stress, right? Cold calls are different, handled a different way. I'm talking about partnership business and inbound leads. These people have problems. I just hired my first employee. I know I need workers' comp. I don't have a clue what it is, where to get it, or who writes it. Okay, great. Until I deliver them a proposal that solves their problem, they have stress and anxiety in them. So our goal was to solve that stress and anxiety as quickly as we possibly could. And I think going directly to the whoever your prime carrier is for that particular class of business, comparative rating just doesn't improve that process.
It's a great perspective that answers questions for carriers that are thinking about making that investment, because it's an investment. And what I heard you say earlier is, rather than putzing around with the comp rater integrations, why don't we go directly into where the agency technology lives?
Now here's the rub.
Right.
The carrier's got to be consistent. If you tell me you want bakeries and bakeries are your main vein and you're going to crush bakeries and you got a great bop and package and bop, 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 I can't then send you bakeries and have you give me shit.
I hear you.
I just can't.
I hear
right?
you.
Like, we had a couple carriers that we started this process with, that when the rubber met the road, we found, like 2 out of every 5 are getting bounced for like silly reasons. Sorry, we can't send those to you. You just got bumped down the list, right? Doesn't mean you won't get any. It just means you're not number 1 anymore because you're inconsistent. Yeah. I don't care what your requirements are. Just be consistent in those requirements, and then I can build processes around them. Sure. I don't care. You could tell me, we don't like, business owners with red hair, they're crazy. We don't want them, right? Okay, great. But then don't accept some and not accept others, right? Like you just be consistent with your requirements, and then I can build processes around whatever your requirements are in my business, not my agency, my business, to make sure that I'm getting you the type of business that you want on a consistent basis.
I love that. So my audience is hearing in that the need for very, very clear description of what the appetite is. And then with that clarity needs to come consistency. It's a simple formula.
And then they've done their job. That's all agents want from the carriers. Tell me what you want, be consistent in what you deliver. And then it is on the agent to work around those requirements. The carriers shouldn't have to constantly be moving the goalposts for the agents.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.